Pokémon have revealed a few bits of information about Legends ZA that may seem boring or inconsequential, but I think they might hint towards a DLC for Legends ZA on the Nintendo Switch 2. Pokémon revealed the file sizes for Pokémon Legends ZA, both on the Switch 1 and the Switch 2. Look, I did tell you it was going to be a bit boring. The game is 5 GB on the Switch 1 and 10 GB on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, 5 GB is fairly standard. Most Pokémon games released for the Switch are around 4 to 6 GB, with the exception of Sword and Shield for some reason, which was 9.5. But it's important to note that these games, mainly Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, did receive DLC, which increased the file sizes to closer to 10 and 12 GB respectively. Now, your first thought may be the extra 5 GB you get from the Switch 2 are just the graphics enhancements and the performance upgrades that we've been promised. But the thing is, that's all we've been promised for the Switch 2 version. All we've been promised is improved performance, enhanced resolution, and smoother frame rate. I'm not a tech guy, listen, I don't know what I'm talking about, but is that really worth 5 GB? If you take a look at Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, version 3.0.1 was 9.9 GB. This was after the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc, and once it received the Switch 2 update on the 2nd of June, it was then 10.1 GB. The Switch 2 update was only 0.2 GB. Of course, I imagine there will be a difference with Legends ZA. Legends ZA is being developed alongside the Switch 2 edition, so there's a lot more they can do with an update like that compared to Scarlet and Violet's Switch 2 update, which was likely an afterthought after the game had already released. So even if we say the Switch 2 update for Legends ZA is 10 times larger than Scarlet and Violet's, that's still only like 2 GB. Heck, you could make it 20 times and that's 4 GB, and there's still 1 GB left over. Where is that 1 GB coming from? There is, of course, the issue. There's a very common criticism when it comes to Switch 2 editions of games. I see a lot of people saying, I don't want to spend $500 for, say, the Switch 2 upgrade for Legends ZA. Or even people making fun of other people for buying, spending $500 on the Switch 2 upgrade for Legends ZA. But the truth is, the Switch 2 isn't just the Legends ZA update. You're not spending $500 on just the Legends ZA update. You're spending $500 on new hardware to run every old Switch game. You're getting access to Mario Kart World, the new Donkey Kong, the new Splatoon that was just announced, a ton of new games they're gonna announce in the next few months, especially with the holiday season coming up. And also, I always want to make it clear, I'm not just defending Nintendo and Game Freak, for the sake of defending a $1 million company. I just think, I would much prefer, if there is a DLC or update for the Switch 2, I would have much rather prefer it was free and was also on the Switch 1. I just don't think harassing people who do buy it is the right thing to do. That's not going to fix anything, Because if you really cared about it, you'd be taking the fight to Nintendo and Game Freak, not the consumers. Now, your next thought may be that the two file sizes, 5 GB and 10 GB, are very, very specific, so they're probably just placeholders and they don't mean anything, right? Well, I would actually disagree with you, but only slightly. I would imagine these numbers are more estimates than they are placeholders. Legends ZA is not going to be exactly 5 GB once it releases on the Switch 1, and it's not going to be exactly 10 GB on the Switch 2, but I imagine it'll be fairly close. So if there's an extra 1 or 2 GB laying around on the Switch 2, what's the chance that that's going to be some sort of DLC or major update like a Daybreak in Pokemon Legends Arceus? As for what the update would be, there's literally no hints whatsoever. I'd really love to see new Mega Evolutions. I'm not sure they would consider that. If they're not in the base game, maybe some new forms for Xerneas and Yveltal, like the origin forms for Dialga and Palkia. Perhaps some sort of expansion on the Battle Royal, featuring more characters from Pokemon X and Y, perhaps more characters from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I think there's a million good ideas you can have with like an upgrade like that, like with a DLC like that. Actually, talking about characters from Pokemon X and Y returning in Legends ZA, did you know that Emma, a character in the Pokemon X and Y post-game, makes an appearance on the Pokemon Legends ZA box art? It's got a lot of hints and secrets for big parts of the story, and there's a video on screen right now you can click if you want to hear more about that. If you enjoyed this video, I'd ask maybe give a little like, a little subscribe. It helps YouTube to know that I've done a good job. It pushes these videos to other people and makes sure you stay on top of all Pokemon news.